What's up, guys? It's Aaronitmar, and honestly, I have no idea what to think. First of all, Nintendo basically shadow dropped an almost half-hour Direct, and they're only calling it a Nintendo Direct Mini, which is weird, but they basically just dropped a half-hour Direct, the one that we have been waiting for, we've been dying for. They dropped it without any kind of announcement, literally just out of nowhere random. So Nintendo is just one of a kind when it comes to that stuff. Other companies would be like, hey, check it out, a week in advance we're gonna tell you, but Nintendo's like, no, we're not even gonna schedule the upload. We're just gonna upload it at a random time. They're so weird. But in all of that, we got the announcement, of who the next character, the first character in Fighter Pass 2 is, and it is a rep from ARMS. Now, I'm honestly kind of surprised we didn't get an ARMS rep or a Nintendo rep that wasn't Byleth in the first Fighter Pass, because both with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and with ARMS, they said that the development timeline didn't add up because they decided on the roster before those games were announced, and so they didn't want to go back on their initial plan, and that's why those characters exist in Smash as an assist trophy or as Mii Fighter costumes and things like that. But now we have confirmation that the character for Fighter Pass 2 is going to come from ARMS, but we don't know who that character is, and this has caused quite a bit of discussion with regards to who it could be and how they're going to handle this slot. So of course, the first thing is that Springman is an assist trophy, and so that causes an issue with everyone's preconceived notion of who can be added, because Springman is an assist trophy, so it would be weird if he was a fighter, in the same way that, Waluigi, if he was a fighter, would also be an assist trophy at the same time. So that is either an indicator that being an assist trophy doesn't matter, or Springman is not going to be the character. There is the possibility of it being Ribbon Girl, because Ribbon Girl is only a Mii Fighter costume and is not an assist trophy of any kind, and does not sort of have a role already in the game. So Ribbon Girl could easily be the character as well. And those two are kind of like the mascots of the game. I mean, Springman is literally meant to be like the Mario, I guess, and Ribbon Girl is kind of like the Luigi. Like, they are the forefront two. So it is a little weird that we're getting an ARMS rep that could potentially not be Springman. But if it was Ribbon Girl, I would not be surprised at all. But this actually brings us into the next point of how they may handle the character, because ARMS kind of has a unique scenario. ARMS has a load of different fighters, but they all sort of have the same abilities in a way. They all have their own special abilities, of course, but the actual arms that you can use, the boxing gloves and things, those are all pretty much the same across the entire cast. So people have been considering whether or not this could be a Hero or a Bowser Jr. or an Alph and Olimar situation, where each slot actually goes to a different character, which I think would be interesting, and honestly is probably how I would go about creating the character if I were in charge, for a couple of reasons. First, this is the first ARMS rep, and it would be really cool to have more than one representative of the franchise in the character. But second, like I said, across the whole thing, there's not a lot of deviation for these characters. They all have their own sort of unique attributes. Ribbon Girl has ribbons, Springman's arms are springs, there's literally like a thing of DNA in the game. They all sort of have their own unique aspects, but as far as the actual gameplay of the game goes, they all kind of have the same abilities. So unless you were going to go whole hog and make an Echo Fighter, it really does seem like if you're going to add a second ARMS rep, you wouldn't really be getting a lot out of it other than just a different coat of paint, basically, because presumably they would have roughly the same abilities. So I think it would be very cool if we could have, a character where it had full 4 different slots or 8 different slots of just different characters in general. Now, I'm gonna lean, in my opinion, towards 4 different slots with 4 recolors, because there are different body types and different, heights and things in ARMS. Some characters are big, heavy, some are very small. So I would say that maybe we would get 4 that are roughly the same size so that the hitboxes aren't an issue. And then we would get, each one would get a recolor that would reference another character in ARMS. So I don't think it's super unreasonable for us to get maybe Springman, Ribbon Girl, Ninjara, and Min Min, or Ninjara and Twintel. in the game as the 4 different slots, and then they each get a recolor like Hero has, where they reference a different character, they reference, a boss. They just have different references for the game. I think that would be probably the best way that we could go about getting an ARMS character, and I personally really like the concept of having, this is the ARMS slot, and then on that we get multiple characters, that are based on that series that have similar abilities, and that would maybe not be a crazy addition to Smash as a separate character on top of, the first ARMS character, but that we could still get a little taste of ARMS. There's also the possibility of just a 2-character slot where Springman is the first half and Ribbon Girl is the second half, and then they each have 3 additional recolors to fill out the full 8, which I think would also work pretty well. This also, of course, brings up the topic of future characters, because we're gonna have to find out what the deal is, whether Springman is the character, if he's involved in some way, whether that ignores assist trophies, but we can be for certain that this likely means that spirits don't deconfirm fighters. Springman, Ribbon Girl, Min Min, Twintail, and Ninjara, these are all characters who are already spirits in the game, and I think it would be naive of us to think that none of those 5 are going to be the actual fighter. Those are the 5 characters that they chose to represent ARMS in a time when there wasn't an ARMS rep in the game. The only representation, aside from the assist trophy and the costumes, was spirits, and they were like, okay, these 5 are the big 5, we're gonna make sure that they are at least in the game as a spirit. So I think it would be odd if one of those 5 was not the character that was chosen for the fighter pass, and instead we just got some random obscure character that really feels odd as a representative of ARMS. I mean, it just seems weird for them to not select the mascots of the game and rather pick a random, DLC character or a boss character or something like that. It just feels like it would be weird if that was the case. And then, of course, if spirits are a deconfirmation, then that brings up the topic of, well, what if Geno could be in the game? If assist trophies get ignored, then that brings up the topic of what if Waluigi could be in the game? It just opens up a whole can of worms. And it also opens up a can of worms with regards to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because, like I said, ARMS and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 were both in the same boat of having weird development cycles when it came to Smash. So if ARMS can now be in the game, that gives us hope that maybe Xenoblade Chronicles 2 could be in the game, and we may see some kind of Rex, or Rex and Mithra, or Rex and Pyra, or Rex and all of them together. Some kind of character slot where Rex is involved, because again, he was given to us as a Mii Fighter costume as a reward for getting the Fighter Pass 1. He was given to us because he couldn't be a full character in the game, because they just didn't know about the game when they were setting up the roster. So that is the deal with both ARMS and Xenoblade 2, and if ARMS can now be in the game, people are like, all right, it's time. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, let your colors shine in Smash. We can finally see Rex at some point. And, I would be totally on board with that. I am a little torn, though, because that would be ARMS and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and that would be only 4 slots left. That would still be a good amount of third parties, but I would be very, very hesitant to add both ARMS and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Personally, just because I don't have really any attachment to either of those games, but I know a lot of people do. So I guess I wouldn't care that much. I would just be like, okay, so now I expect the last 4 to be like third parties or something like that. And that's pretty much everything with regards to Smash from this Nintendo Direct Mini. We did get some announcements for some smaller titles, and we got a release date for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So there's still definitely a lot to look at in this Direct. There's some Pokemon news, I guess. Stuff we already knew, but they're sort of giving us a more detailed look. And just some smaller games. They talk about Animal Crossing, of course. So there is a bunch more. So if you guys are interested in that, I would definitely recommend checking out the Nintendo Direct. It, of course, is 30 minutes long, so there is plenty of information in there. Unfortunately, the Smash bit was a bit on the lacking side, but I guess that's okay. I would rather wait till E3 to have like full announcements, and I imagine by the time E3 comes around, they'll be ready to announce the second character, and they'll do yet again another dual reveal like they did with Hero and Banjo and Kazooie. So I'm not too upset about that. If anything, I'm more upset that they told us now and they didn't just like say, okay, we're gonna wait till E3. I would rather wait till E3 for the announcement and then be super surprised by ARMS than now I'm looking forward to who it is going to be from ARMS rather than, you know, the announcement of ARMS in general. I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. I really like the surprise factor. So, yeah, that is pretty much it for this video, I guess. I don't know, very impromptu. I just woke up and saw the news, so I didn't even expect to make a video on this today, but very impromptu, very lax in this discussion. I don't know, it was just, I was not expecting to wake up and be able to talk about who the next Smash character is going to be, so I don't know, I was very taken aback by this, but that is it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.